It all started when we saw the film, What the Bleep Do We Know? We are members of the World Academy of Kabbalah, headed by Rav Michael Leitman. Having seen the film, we were surprised at how close modern science has come to confirming the Kabbalistic view of the universe. Scientists, specializing in quantum physics, have discovered on their own the depth of matter described by Kabbalists more than 3,000 years ago. And we decided to go meet with them. We arrived in San Francisco in March 2005. What did we expect from the meeting? We wanted to be heard. The people in the audience were mostly young students who had come to meet their favorite scientists. The film was a hit in North and South America, Europe, and Japan. It had collected more than $10 million in box office revenue by that time. More than 420,000 DVDs had been ordered the previous month. It started out as a regular scientific conference. Scientists approached the podium and began to speak about the science to which they had devoted their entire lives, about the film that had turned them into stars.
I gather pretty much everybody here saw the film. Is that a fair assessment? So I don't have to review anything in it.
In exotic physics, there is a higher electromagnetic gauge symmetry state than our normal environment, which is called the SU2 state. And at that state, electric and magnetic monopoles are naturally supposed to coexist.
Our next speaker is Dr. Wolf.
And then Dr. Wolf approached the podium. No one had anticipated what was about to unfold. He didn't say a word about his own science.
I really don't know what I'm going to say to you. You know, I had been studying physics, and I knew something about that technology, but Kabbalah as a science was something that never would have even dawned on me. I don't care what you're doing. There's something about this field of way of thinking, of seeing, which can improve anything. And I don't care if you're a Jew, a Muslim, Gentile, Arab, I don't care what you are. I don't care what nationality. I don't care what religion you belong to. There's something in this that will, I think, awaken something in you.
In order to understand what had happened, we need to go back to the previous day, to his one-on-one with Rav. Unfortunately, we didn't start shooting from the beginning. But Wolf's question was how to stop endless conflicts all over the world.
The soul consists of three lines: middle, left, and right. All the conflicts in the world are over who controls the middle line. There is no use trying to settle these conflicts on our level. We have to rise along the middle line. The two lines on the sides are long, containing 10 sphirot. The middle line is short. It begins above the lower third of the other two lines. The left and the right lines are connected to the middle line and provided with their lower thirds. And that causes all the conflicts, pain, and suffering in the world. We need to disengage from this lower third and rise up to our own part, which are the vessels of bestowal. We can accomplish this only with the help of the upper light, the light of Kabbalah, the light that surrounds our souls, that enhances our vessels of bestowal, and that makes them stronger than the lower third. If we can transform ourselves this way, the same process will take place in all of humanity, in the billions of people that live today. I will give you the introduction to the book of Zohar today. This process is described there, starting from item 60. It tells us how we can change the entire world through inner transformation, because each person has a small world within him.
When people study Kabbalah, it gets them, because suddenly certain truths about what is going on, what is this happening, begin to become clearer than they were before. And suddenly you begin to see whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you think is the most important thing in the world, begins to kind of dissipate into something less importance. And you begin to see a bigger picture of what's going on. Kabbalah will help liberate your mind from any shackles of thought that keep you ensconced or enclosed into a certain way of thinking. Now, if these words are awakening you right now, you know it. If they're not awakening you right now, then I'm suggesting to you that you've fallen asleep. Thank you.
We agreed to meet later that day behind closed doors. We drove along the streets of San Francisco and shared our impression of the past day. We were preparing for the day to come. We knew from personal experience the effect that Kabbalah has by repeating the same question day after day, that they no longer come from the mind, they come from the heart. One begins to search for the middle line that Rav had described, the middle line within, and it's not easy. And so it happened. Barry, the American writer, wanted to start the discussion smoothly, by the book, but instead he was confronted by Dr. Wolf's fiery personality.
Started reading this, so I'd like to stop you for a minute and just, are you a practitioner of this observing of the 6 or more senses? Can you talk about your experiences in that world? I would like to learn from you what you're talking about. Otherwise, it's just all gas. No, he doesn't want
Because it doesn't have the same sense and the same reminiscence.
You can't just throw that at me and say, accept it, this is the way it is, I'm Kabbalah, that's what it teaches you, and if you just do this, you'll be, I'm not, that's bullshit to me, I'm not going to accept that.
Please answer this.
So please allow him to talk.
Sure.
The wisdom of Kabbalah states that reality is only a will to receive, for self-fulfillment. That desire is built through expansion of the upper light. Light is giving, bestowal, love. We call it creator. It created something called a clear vessel, or a desire to enjoy, which wants to be fulfilled by precisely what is in the light.
And then Rav began to describe 4 phases of the upper light.
If the creature receives pleasure, the creator enjoys. If the creature doesn't enjoy, the creator does not enjoy.
We must give full credit to the scientists. They sat, listened, took notes, and began to understand. The fact that they were open was a testimony to them being genuine scientists. Then Dr. Wolf raised another question.
You laid it out beautifully, but I want to understand better. Just, if I may, see if I understand this right. 1, there is a creator who desires to give. Yes? Kim? Okay. So the giver gives to a dummy. Okay. A dummy. It's just it's a golem. Gives to a golem. Right? Okay. Now the next thing, from 2 to 3, what happens there?
In state 2, it begins to feel the giver itself, its nature.
In stage 2, the golem is coming alive. Is that what's happening?
And everybody joined in the discussion.
It requires a threshold of light
Dr. William Tiller.
to spontaneously generate consciousness.
Entrance of the light and its departure builds these impressions, these vibrations in the clear, in the consciousness.
Dr. Jeffrey Satanova. As it turned out, this was not his first encounter with Kabbalah.
The Ramchal talks about the world having a deterministic and an indeterministic component, and also about some human beings just having no place whatsoever. I'm referencing that from his book, Derech Hashem.
Ramchal was one of the greatest Kabbalists. Ramchal taught Kabbalah. He was thrown out of his city. He was boycotted. Derech Hashem, the path of God, is a path of 10 sfirot. The entire spiritual ladder is divided into 10 parts. Even the first part in this ladder is already above the barrier.
A tornado swept over San Francisco that evening, but we didn't notice it. We felt that we were close to finding a common language, but there were clashes to come. back at the lecture.
If the heart is the desire, then the point in the heart that awakens is the sensation of the Creator. And at that time, a person, through this point, begins to want something that's beyond the desire. Such people, there aren't many in the world, but well, those who awaken, and they grow and they grow. Those people want to realize that point. But at the end of the day, everyone, in the end, all humanity, the billions of people, will have to come to the evolution of that point, and they'll have to reach the same level as the Creator himself.
And then Rav mentioned a topic that we now know is a touchy one.
Because the Creator, because He's good, well, He created the creature with the sole intention of bringing it to the good.
Must be a kind of a dumb creator. It's stupid. Because all we got here is a lot of real problems. In our desire to be like the Creator, we start killing each other. In our desire to be like the Creator, we create Hitler. It all comes from love and desire. There's no evil there. Hitler wasn't evil. He just loved his own God and his own desire. And kill these other people because they're not worthy, right? So this is, what kind of God is this? Well, it's supposed to be a dumb God. No, it's a stupid God, in fact.
Rav approached the board again and continued to explain.
Our common soul is called Adam. It's that kli, that vessel that the Creator had created with our will to receive. And it's filled with the upper lights. Now within this body called Adam, there are all the parts connected like in one body harmoniously. Now this soul is broken. It falls into a degree which is called below the barrier. And at the barrier, the spiritual sensation ends. Here below the barrier, there are those, the same parts, but feeling that they're disconnected from each other. Now why the fall and the ascent back up? So that here we'll find how much we hate each other. That's the breaking. Everyone's egoism. Because of that, we'll understand why we need to willingly rise up back to unification.
There were moments when we thought we'd have to pack up and leave. We had the sense of a total lack of communication. This is a glance back at one of our meetings.
You seem to be presenting the Kabbalah as the truth, and it read like dogma. Be open to the fact that there are other powerful models.
People come to me from every generation. They are so different. No one is limited. Anyone can begin to study and see how it works within them.
That's not what we're saying. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. In physics, we had Newtonian mechanics. It was wonderful. It explained everything. And everybody believed it was right. And then came quantum physics. Now, people don't accept new things when they come in. The first thing they react is, get it out. We don't want it. We don't want it. It's wrong.
I have developed a model which I find is very useful in explaining. I know I have not proven it. I know it is not the truth. It is a work in progress. It's a theory in progress. And it will take a long, long time to prove.
Because they attain reality from below upward.
How did he even know that? You make a statement like that. I mean, that's arrogant.
Still, despite it all, the scientists stayed on. They listened. They took notes. As scientists, they know that ultimately this is the only way to discover the truth. Once more at the lecture.
Love, will, light, wisdom flows through one into the world, and that benefits the Creator.
I'm afraid to tell you it is not so.
Pourquoi?
Because in order for us to be a hose for the light, we have to have the same properties as the light, because it all connects through a process of equivalence of form. Now, if you can take your desire to, first of all, discern what exactly it is, it's not some intentions or properties, it's a desire. You can begin to relate to the pleasure that comes to you, as it says here, by even 1%. If you begin to do that, you'll feel the Creator.
Thus, lecture followed lecture. We've captured 10 hours of lectures on video. Videos of Rav explaining all of the wisdom of Kabbalah. We saw the city only through the car window on our way back and forth from the hotel. They tell us it's beautiful. Let's return to the lecture.
We have letters, say like Aleph, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, and then Aleph again, etc. There are no words there. There are dots there. And we might have 20 such letters, or 6 such letters, or 3 or 4. All in all, they give us, how should I put it, a formula in which we have to do things inside with our desire. And that's how one is taught how he should perform actions of receiving in order to give to the Creator. Now that's what we call God. It's an unchanging law operating on every item in creation. Let's say that's creation. So that's the creature. And that law operates on the creature in order to bring it to equivalence of form with the Creator, so that they equalize, so that the creature and Creator will merge together to the point of no difference. So what's so special? It could do it in the beginning. The thing is, though, that the creature has to develop within itself a desire to be like the Creator.
Now there is a sensation that every word is being heard, but how hard it was to get there. We recall.
I do not cotton to any spiritual order that says, I know the truth. Nobody knows how God does this. You don't know. And I don't care how much learning you got, you can't claim such a thing. It's so hubris. It's so egoic. To me, it's the height of egoism. But he teaches as if this is the only way. And it can't be the only way. You're rejected by my saying, I know what God talks to me. You said, you know, because he talks to you. I said, well, how do you know? And you said, I won't get into it personally. But the feeling was, you know, and I don't know. Yeah, because you're a Kabbalist, you know, but because I'm not a Kabbalist, I don't know. But you don't know what I've experienced in life. You don't know where I've been. You don't know who I've hung out with. Or what experiences I had.
There's nothing you can do about it.
You don't know what I've seen.
In our world, there's nothing that doesn't come down from the world Atzilut. The forces, the substance, actions, time, space, motion, everything possible. What is here in this world is called a branch, which is an offshoot of what exists in the upper world. So how do I tell someone something about the upper world? I take the names from this world of people, things, places, society. I refer to what happens here in the world of Siluts, but I take the names from here and there. If one knows only about this world, then the story takes place in this world, and then he imagines the Creator as a big person. But one who understands that it talks about something beyond this world seeks where it is up there.
In Kabbalah, you never know when that moment will come, when all the pieces fall together. A major inversion takes place and it all begins to make sense. Back at the lecture.
But still, how do I receive pleasure and constantly enjoy? Endlessly. So there has to be someone up there that I enjoy because he enjoys. It's as if the pleasure goes through me to him. So then I'm not put out because my pleasure is always here, like a mother who enjoys with her baby. She wants always to give it.
You recognize yourself as part of the whole? Of course.
Right, that's it. That's the purpose. Why do we need to be broken and go back up?
Yes, to learn the physics of the lower level. And then to go back across the line and learn the physics of the higher level.
So here we have it. Leading scientists who recognize the limits of their field meet Kabbalah, which tells them that in order to overcome that limit, they need to alter themselves, to change, and only then can they reveal a new world. And that's not easy to hear, not easy to accept, and yet they endured. But it was very hard.
I think I'm a giving person. I think I give a lot of myself in what I do. Maybe it's my ego talking. I don't know. But
I think, well, we're all egoists.
I have no idea what God is, but I feel God's presence. Every once in a while I see God. So what does that tell me?
What do you mean? You know, you don't feel. There's no such thing.
What do you mean?
If you feel it, can you measure it?
What are we talking about? I understand. What are we talking about then? If you can't know God, you can't feel God, you can't see God.
We are talking about research, what the Creator is, only in a scientific manner. Meaning, I feel Him, I measure Him, I give measurements and numbers to every sensation, I check the tool with which I feel Him. That's the wisdom of Kabbalah. Of course. I have numbers here, let's say from 0 to 100%, and I know exactly which lights go where, and how powerfully, under which conditions. When I take something off the table, I define it as taking it from the Creator, and what pleasure I give Him by that, and then what kind of connection it creates between us.
That was our first experience of talking to leading scientists. Maybe we were unaware of certain things. The mentality is different. But Rav continued to lecture. In Kabbalah, there's no such thing as mentality. In Kabbalah, everyone is absolutely equal. Back at the lecture.
How do we learn about the two levels? If we, the ones who really feel from within the heart, the point in the heart, the desire to go back to spirituality and feel it, we begin to learn about our situation up here. And that's the wisdom of Kabbalah. So we learn about us being here, when in fact we are already in that state, but we don't feel it. But by wanting, in our blocked states, to awaken and feel the true state, if we learn about our true situation, we draw on ourselves. It's as if we draw the light that's present there. Because I'm in that world, in that state, I'm not aware of it. But if I make every effort to become conscious of it, to be awakened, my desire, my impulse to do it opens up my additional vessels, and then we begin to feel spirituality. What does that mean? We begin to feel how we are all interconnected as one body, and then through each and every one, infinite light follows endlessly and without any limitations. And all the problems that we feel today in the world is only so as to force humanity to begin to go back up.
My guess is that, well, not my guess, that is certainly not believed by the vast majority of the top scientists.
You know, I don't give a damn about top scientists or the scientific establishment at all. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they think. All I care about is saying what I have to say, and I will say it the way I have to say it, in whatever way I wish to say it. I don't give a flying damn about what anybody thinks about what I have to say. I stopped caring about that a long time ago.
הפסקתי...
What I care about is changing and transforming this planet that we're on. And I believe you have to introduce new thinking. And if it turns out to be scientifically total garbage, I don't give a flying fuck. It makes no difference to me, because science has little credibility as the only way of seeing the world. It's only one very narrow, very limited way. And the medical model, as you well know, is full of so much bullshit about what's right and what's wrong, and what's the right psychological model, and what's the right medical model, that we're so filled with stuff that people are looking for alternative ways of healing. And you know that. Clearly, you know your stuff. There's no question. And I would learn. I'd love to sit at your feet for a long time. It would be very useful. It would help me tremendously, and I have no question about it.
We were witnesses of a new reality being born, as a second breath. Science saw in Kabbalah a unique opportunity, a chance of a breakthrough. What was it that made such a change? Was it the hours of Rav's lectures, arguments, and doubts? Perhaps it was simply that the time has come.
Indeed, Kabbalah does have an awful lot to say.
I don't hear anything, I don't see anything, but I feel.
So what you know is really amazing, and I honor your teaching and your wisdom.
So the whole phenomenon of Kabbalah kind of emerging out of its hiddenness and in a genuine form, as opposed to just fluff, I think is very fascinating and very valuable.
All possible ways to awaken the people and have them work on themselves. I think it's the way to go.
Because this is something that means a great deal to me, and because I have a very positive impression of this meeting, I'm certainly happy to help in any way that I can.
I certainly can contribute ideas to the film, and I'd be happy to work with you on it, sure. As long as there's life and breath and limb within me, I'm willing to travel.
There are these three-dimensional pictures like wallpapers. If you look at them and you defocus your eye, then you go into the picture and you find a three-dimensional picture.
Random. When you look at it at the beginning, it looks like just a jagged random pattern.
Yes.
And then after a while, you see a kind of flat 3D image.
So these things.
So what the wisdom of Kabbalah actually does is it helps you get that picture. It doesn't do anything new, actually. It just focuses and aims your attributes and everything in you in such a way that you begin to see into matter. Thank you very much.